All right. Hey, it's JT here. And we're going to try something a little bit different here. We're going to try to do a Lucky 7 rating review of Asia's 2010 release, Omega. Now, this is going to be kind of different. On my other channel, I do toy reviews, and I have a system called the Lucky 7 rating system where we take 7 different categories and we rate the item from 1 to 7 in the categories, and then we get the average total for an overall rating. And I thought, man, it would be cool to do with an album. I only reason I went to listen to this particular album is I was going through Asia CDs and trying to decide, which ones I had, which ones I was interested in getting, and I did not know. I don't know why I didn't, but I did not know that the original lineup had reformed, and they did an album called Phoenix, I believe, and then the second one was Omega. They may have done one before that, and they may have done one after that too. I'm not really sure, but I do have their first two albums, and I have listened to this one to review, and I wanted to do the review on Rate Your Music, so I went in and did each track individually. As I listened to them, I rate each one. Now, I didn't write a review on it on that site per se because I didn't go through and review each song individually, which I may do in the future, depending on how long that takes. But this is going to be different. Anybody that wants to listen to this, I listened to it on YouTube with the commercials, so it took a little longer than the 61 minutes that it is. I was probably a good hour and a half, and I did listen to a couple songs twice just to make sure that they were what I thought the rating was fair on them, because some of them were a little different than the others on here, which obviously would be the case. So the idea here is to come up with a rating system for this channel to be able to rate, critically review, and rate albums. And what we have is we have the 7 categories, because I'm going to try to stick with the Lucky 7 rating system, and there are little issues with that here and there that I'll explain when I get to that. But what I did was the 7 categories, and the categories I came up with were overall individual songs ratings. Now, this is the same ratings that I used on rateyourmusic.com, and that means I took every single song on there, and they rate theirs from 1 to 5. And so I rate mine from 1 to 7 usually, but these will just be their ratings from 1 to 5, and then we will add 2 points to it. So it's never going to probably get below a 1 unless it's a horrible, well, it can't get below a 1. But even if it's a 1, that's pretty much a horrible album. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the second category, and the 7 categories would be sound quality or production value. Now, the sound quality is what I'm hearing on the digital, so it's probably going to be better on an analog source or a actual CD rather than the YouTube. But that being said, it's still fairly easy to tell whether it was recorded good, bad, indifferent, whatever. So I still feel I can stand behind the sound quality rating. I'm listening to them on some cheaper Audio Technica headphones that are open backs, so I do get a decent sense of spatial sound with them. Anyways, musicality is like songwriting, what I think of the songwriting, and I base that on the artist's musicality, like how they do as far as their songwriting. I also, then number 4 is kind of related to that. It's the fit in the artist catalog. Like, where does this belong in the artist catalog? Is this, at 1 out of 7, is this really good or is this not really good? It's like the fit in the catalog is, is it Sergeant Pepper? That sort of thing. Is it going to be way up there? Probably not. Maybe, we don't know. But anyways, that's going to be the category 1 through 7, so we'll put it in there. The popularity in its genre is the next category, which is the 5th category. That means, does this fit the genre? Now, Asia, as far as I'm concerned, is between they're supposed to be a progressive rock genre. So the album review on the AllMusic site says it's or the wiki on it says that AllMusic says it's progressive rock. Now, I feel that a lot of the Asia stuff is progressive pop. So that might be, maybe give it a little bit more, give it a little bit less based on that. But popularity in the genre is the next category. My opinion, personal enjoyment factor, my opinion overall, that's the subjective category. That's extremely subjective. Did I enjoy the album? And then 7 is the artwork. And Yeah, well, this is a Roger Dean cover, so we'll see how that does because that should be pretty good. Anyways, let me go through the album titles rather quickly here, or the song titles of the album, and make a few little statements here. This is from 2010. It's produced by Mike Paxman. It has all the original members of Asia, as far as I could tell. All Music gives this a 3.5. So we'll see how our rating stacks up against All Music's rating. The average rating on Rate Your Music was 3.2 for this one. So it's about 61 minutes long. So we've been here talking about the system here for 6 minutes. Let's get into the rating. All right. So let's see. We have the first song is Finger on the Trigger. That was my favorite song off the album. I give that a 4.5. It's not the perfect song. It's not that proggy, but it is very poppy. It is very upbeat. John Wetton is an awesome singer on it. I love it. I think it's great. 4.5. Through My Veins, not that memorable for me, but still a really good song. 4.0. Holy War, same thing as Through My Veins. 4.0. Then we got into Ever Yours, and that song seemed to be a little bit slower, and it wasn't overly proggy either. So it wasn't poppy, wasn't proggy. I kind of got bored with it. 3.0. It wasn't badly produced or anything. It's just, it was all right. Listen, Children, same thing with Ever Yours. At this point, I was sort of getting a little bit tired, fatigued as far as listening to the album. Then Into the World was a little bit better. Not a whole lot better, but a 3.5. The next song was Light the Way. Light the Way was a little bit better than the one before that, so it was 4.0. Starting to do a little bit better, feel a little bit better. Then the eighth song is a song called Emily, and that's the bonus track, it says. Now, I don't know why the bonus track is the eighth track when there's 12 songs on the album. I have no idea what the thought was behind that or what they were doing. But the song Emily, I liked that. That was 4.0. That was as good as Light the Way, but maybe a little bit better, but not a 4.5 or anything like that. It was definitely better. It really doesn't fit in the album, I don't think, as much as the others do. Maybe that's why it's a bonus track. But it's still a very cool song nonetheless. I liked it. And I'm still the same. Again, starting to slow down here a little bit again. Kind of repetitious song. I did a 3.5 on that. There Was a Time, back to swinging good. This is probably as good as the Finger on the Trigger, the first song. So that sort of brings me back into listening to the album a little bit more. I really enjoyed that as well. I gave that one on There Was a Time a 4.5 out of 5, which is a pretty darn good rating on that. The next song was I Believe, and I was hoping for a little bit more from this, so I felt a little bit let down on this song because I thought this was going to be a little more progressive, a little more intense on this one. And I ended up giving it a 3.0. It kind of started to lose me there a little bit. And then I Don't Want to Lose You, ironically, is the next song. And it sort of brings you back in. I gave it a 4.0, and I thought that was a pretty good song as well. Not their greatest song ever, but it's still pretty good. So it brought me back into it, and I was able to listen to the whole album. As a matter of fact, I went back and I listened to Finger on the Trigger again just to see if I really did like it that much. And I also went back and listened to, what was it? I Believe, to see if I didn't like it as much. And I didn't change my rating any at all. So I agreed that Finger on the Trigger, Emily, and There Was a Time were my three highlights of the album. I enjoyed those quite a bit, and I thought that was a pretty good couple of songs there, the three songs there. Anyways, that's how I got to the score on the Rate Your Music. Rate Your Music came out to be like a 3.7, I want to say. So I rounded it up because they don't have a 3.7. They have 3.5 and 4.0. So I gave it a 4.0 on Rate Your Music out of 4.0 out of 5. And then I went ahead and got the 7 categories to do the Lucky 7 here. And I will be explaining that here. All right, the Lucky 7 system here is there's 7 categories, and we're going to be rating them 1 through 7 in each 7 categories. The first one is my overall rating, which was a 3.75 for Rate Your Music, and we're going to give that, that's the first one, and we have to give it 2 extra points. So it was a 5.75 out of 7 is what it got on that, which is pretty good. I was happy with that. The second category is the sound quality or the production value. I was satisfied with this. I gave it a 6 out of 7. I thought it was recorded very well and it had a decent sound quality. The third one is musicality. How professional, how musical was it, you know, compared to this artist's other recordings? I give this a 5. It's not a classic, I don't think, but it's definitely, they're definitely decently on their game. And, you know, they're a lot older at this point, because when was this, 2010? So, yeah, I give it a 5. For the fourth category is the fit in the artist's catalog. This, I kind of didn't agree with it too much. It fit decently because they are pop prog, in my opinion. But I gave this a 4.5 out of 7. So it got a 4.5 out of 7 for that one. Popularity. Well, in its genre, is this a classic? Is this a classic prog album or even a pop prog album? No, not really. I gave it a 3.5. I didn't feel where this is going to be any sort of classic. I think from what most people have said that the Phoenix album is more so a classic than this, but I have the first 2 Asia albums and it doesn't stack up. And it also doesn't stack up to albums like King Crimson's Court of the Crimson King and Red. You know, that's even a John Wetton album. And it doesn't stack up to a lot of their other albums as far as, you know, Crimson and... no, it's a good album. It's not a bad album. I don't want to say anything bad about the album itself. But in its genre, pop prog or prog, is it a classic? No. Let's see what here. 6th category. This is my opinion, my personal enjoyment factor. I really, you know, it was cool. It waned at times, but at other times it was very engaging. I gave it a 3.5. That might have been a little bit harsh, but really there were times where it was waning on me and I didn't, I was having trouble. It was a little bit long after a while, but it was still pretty good. It wasn't ever overly boring where I just had to turn it off and walk away, but you know, it also wasn't extremely engaging either. And the artwork, well, this one was kind of disappointing for me. But if you've seen the artwork, it's a tiger, a white tiger, and it's a really cool artwork. And if it had been anybody other than Roger Dean that had done that artwork, it probably would have got, you know, a 6 or so out of it. But I gave it a 4 out of 7 because, you know, Roger Dean usually does these awesome landscapes. And they are really, really cool artwork, you know, almost all the time. And this is just really kind of different for him. It was just a tiger head, basically, with a little bit of art in it. It's a good drawing, but it's nowhere near what the other albums are that he did, especially like the first one and the second one. Anyways, so we add all 7 of those up. We got a 5.75 for overall individual song ratings, a 6 for sound quality, a 5 for musicality, a 4.5 for the fit in the artist's catalog, a 3.5 for the fit in the genre, a 3.5 for my personal enjoyment factor on the album, a 4 for the artwork. We add those together and we have a 32.25, it looks like. Divide those by 7 and we have a 4.6 out of 7. And I do believe that that's a pretty fair rating, 4.6 out of 7. Like I said, I ended up giving it a 3.7 on the Rate Your Music scale for just the album review of just the songs. And they mostly gave it a 3.2, I think was its average. So I felt like I was being a little bit harsh, but then when I went and saw the contemporary reviews, I saw that, you know, they were a little bit more harsh than I was, so I didn't feel so bad about that. Not only that, this is a 4.6 out of 7 for me on my Lucky 7 rating system for the whole album. So 4.6 out of 7 for the first one we've done here. Hopefully the next one we do, I will actually have the CD or the album. But like I said, you can check this out on YouTube and listen to it, and go ahead and put in the comment section below what you think of the album. Go ahead and give it your rating. Go ahead and comment. Let me know what you think of my rating system, if you like it, if you think it needs some tweaking or whatever. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for watching my videos. I'll see you next time.